You're 26 years old, fresh out of the Border Patrol Academy in Artesia, New Mexico. Your father pinned your badge on your chest. He was BP for 22 years, retired with a bad back and a gold watch. He told you, we're the last wall. Don't ever forget that. You believed him. You believed in lines, in order, in the idea that a country means something. 8 months in, you're working the Nogales sector. 3 a.m. shifts, 100-degree days. You're processing the same people twice because the system is so backed up they get released and try again. Your supervisor is a man named Hendricks, 19 years in, drinks coffee from a thermos that says Border Patrol, honor first. He tells you, this job isn't about catching people. It's about counting them. Numbers make the budget. Budget makes the promotion. Nothing else matters. You don't understand what he means yet. The first crack appears on a Tuesday. You're part of a traffic stop team. A semi-truck coming up from Sonora. You have a drug dog, a warrant, the whole production. You find 40 kilos of cocaine in a false wall. Clean bust. You're feeling good. Then your supervisor pulls you aside. Says the trucking company has a contract with a logistics firm that donated to the governor's campaign. The case gets downgraded. Seizure recorded as 4 kilos. The rest disappears into evidence. You ask why. Hendricks looks at you like you're a child asking why the sun sets. He says, because that's how it works. Then he walks away. You start noticing patterns. Trucks that get waved through after a phone call. Informants who get picked up by black SUVs before they can testify. Newer agents who transfer out of the sector after 6 months and end up in desk jobs in Washington. You mention it to another young agent named Reyes over beers in Tucson. He tells you to be careful what you notice. Says there's the job they sold you at the academy and the job that actually exists. Those aren't the same thing. You think he's being cynical. You're wrong. He's survived 3 years. The offer comes from an agent named Novak. 14 years in. Lives in a house in the hills. Drives a truck that costs more than your annual salary. He takes you to lunch at a steakhouse where the waiters know his name. Says he's been watching you. Says you're sharp, calm under pressure. Not one of those true believer types who will burn out when reality sets in. He asks if you've noticed how some agents live better than a GS. 12 paycheck should allow. You have. He orders another drink. Tells you there are opportunities for people who understand that the border isn't a wall. It's a door, and someone is always going to control who walks through it. He doesn't offer you anything specific. Just buys your lunch, shakes your hand, leaves. You go home to your apartment. 1 bedroom, cinder block walls, AC that runs but doesn't cool. You're making $58,000 a year in a town where rent has doubled in 5 years. Your father calls to ask if you need money. You say no. You lie. You hang up and stare at the badge he pinned on your chest. It feels heavier than it did 8 months ago. Novak approaches you again 3 weeks later. This time it's specific. A smuggling case. A load of fentanyl precursors coming through the port. You're on the inspection team. You've got intel on the truck, the driver, the exact compartment. Novak says the load belongs to an organization that pays for protection. Not the cartel. The organization above the cartel. The one that decides which loads get hit and which don't. He says you can make the stop and seize 2% of what's there. Enough for a photo op, a press release, a promotion. Or you can wave it through and get $20,000. Your choice. He explains it like he's describing a shift change. Casual. Procedural. You say you need to think about it. He says, don't think too long. The truck crosses Friday. You don't sleep that night. You think about your father. The oath he made you memorize when you were 15. Honor first. You think about your rent. Your credit card debt. The AC that doesn't work. You think about Hendricks and his thermos. 19 years. Nothing to show for it. You think about how many loads get through anyway. How the system is already broken. How this doesn't change anything except who benefits from the break. You tell yourself you're not going to do it. You're sure. Then your father calls. His back is worse. He needs surgery. The VA is a 6-month wait. Private surgery costs $18,000. He doesn't ask you for it. He's just telling you. But you hear it in his voice. The shame. The man who pinned your badge can't afford to fix his spine. You sit in your truck in the parking lot of your apartment complex. Engine running. 110 degrees. You text Novak one word. Okay. The truck crosses on Friday. You're on the inspection line. You see it. White semi. Arizona plates. Driver looks at you, doesn't look away. You know what's inside. You wave it through. Your hand moves like it's someone else's. You file your report. Nothing unusual. No discrepancies. 2 days later, there's an envelope in your locker. 200 hundreds. You count it twice. Then you call your father and tell him to schedule the surgery. He asks how you can afford it. You say you got a bonus. He's quiet for a moment. Then he says he's proud of you. You hang up. You don't feel guilty. You feel relief. And that's more terrifying than anything else. Because relief means you've already justified it. Relief means some part of you is waiting for permission to stop pretending the system deserved your loyalty. Novak brings you another job 5 weeks later. Then another. Small things. A truck you don't inspect too closely. A report you file late so the load moves before the paperwork catches up. A call you make to a number that doesn't exist in any official log. You're not a criminal. You're just slightly less efficient than you used to be. The money adds up. 6 months after that lunch, you've cleared $45,000. You move to a better apartment. One with working AC. A pool. You buy a used Ford Raptor. Black. You tell people you saved up, invested smart. They believe it. Because they want to. Because the alternative means admitting they know what you are, and they're okay with it. Novak introduces you to others. A CBP officer named Delgado. A DEA liaison named Webb. They meet you for drinks at a bar in Tucson like it's a networking event. They talk about crossings the way consultants talk about accounts. Volume. Risk. Margin. You're not agents anymore. You're a market. And the product is access to a border that's supposed to be sealed. The work gets easier to rationalize. A load of fentanyl precursors goes through. So what? It would have found another route anyway. A coyote pays for safe passage. He was going to cross those people with or without you. You're not creating the problem. You're just taking your cut of something that was already happening. Your sister calls to say she saw your picture on the agency's Instagram. K9 unit. Drug bust. Proud public servant. She says she's proud of you. You are proud of yourself. That's the problem. Corruption doesn't feel like corruption when it solves your problems. It feels like finally getting what you deserve after years of playing by rules that were rigged against you from the start. You meet a woman named Elena at a bar in Nogales. She's a nurse. Smart. Doesn't ask too many questions about the truck, the apartment, the watch you bought yourself. You date for 3 months before she stays over. She sees your place. Your truck. The shoes in your closet that cost $800. She asks how a GS-12 Border Patrol agent affords all this. You say you do consulting for a security firm. She accepts it. Or pretends to. You can't tell which is worse. The mistake happens on a Thursday in October. A load of weapons. Automatic rifles coming south. Cartel buy. You're supposed to flag the truck for secondary inspection but then lose the paperwork. Simple job. But the paperwork doesn't get lost. A new agent named Park processes it clean. The truck gets seized. 3 men get arrested. One of them is Novak's cousin. Novak doesn't yell. He's calm when he pulls you aside in the equipment shed. Explains that mistakes have consequences. That the people you work for aren't abstract. They have faces and families and expectations. He doesn't threaten you. He doesn't need to. The threat is in his tone. In the way he mentions your father's address. Your sister's name. The hospital where Elena works. You apologize. Promise it won't happen again. He nods. Says he believes you. Then he gives you the next job. Bigger this time. A human smuggling operation. 50 people in a trailer. You're supposed to call in a false tip so the route gets cleared. Not just a load this time. People. You get $40,000. It's not optional. It's repair work for the mistake you made. You make the call. You use a burner phone. You tell dispatch there's activity on a different sector. The route gets diverted. The trailer crosses. 50 people. You don't know what happens to them. You don't want to know. You collect the money. You sit in your truck in the desert for an hour. Engine off. Heat rising. You don't throw up. You don't cry. You just sit. The silence is the worst part. Elena breaks up with you in December. Says you've changed. That you're distant. That she doesn't know who you are anymore. You don't argue. Because she's right. The person you were 14 months ago wouldn't recognize the person sitting across from her. Wouldn't believe that version of yourself could exist. Internal affairs start sniffing around in January. Not you specifically. Just the sector. Too many loads slipping through. Too many coincidences. They assign an investigator named Okonkwo. Young. Serious. Doesn't drink with the other agents. You watch him during briefings. He watches everyone back. Novak tells you to relax. Says IA investigations almost never go anywhere. Too political. Too many people involved. But you see him nervous for the first time. See him making calls in his truck. Taking meetings in rest stops instead of restaurants. You think about running. Quitting. Disappearing. But where? You've spent a year building a life funded by money you can't explain. Your bank account tells a story that doesn't match your salary. Your truck. Your apartment. Your watch. All of it is evidence. Okonkwo interviews you on a Tuesday. Routine questions. Inspection protocols. File management. You answer carefully. Professionally. He takes notes without looking at you. At the end, he asks one question that isn't routine. He asks if you've ever been approached by anyone offering money to alter an inspection. You say no. He writes that down. Then he thanks you and leaves. You don't hear from Novak for 3 days. Then he texts you an address. A diner 40 miles outside Tucson. You meet him in a back booth. He looks older than he did 6 months ago. He tells you Okonkwo has phone logs. Bank records. He's building something real. Novak says people are going to start making deals. Trading names for reduced sentences. He asks if you'll hold. You don't answer. Because you don't know. Because loyalty to criminals who paid you isn't loyalty. It's just fear with better marketing. You drive home in silence. Your nice apartment. Your nice truck. Your nice life built on trucks you wave through and calls you made in 50 people in a trailer you don't think about. You got everything you wanted. The money. The comfort. The relief from constant financial stress. And the price was simple. Just everything you thought you believed about who you were and what mattered. Somewhere tonight, there's a trailer. There's a desert crossing. There are 50 people who trusted someone to get them through. And you're the reason some of them didn't make it. Not the system. Not the cartels. You. You sit in your apartment with the lights off watching headlights move across the ceiling. Every car that slows down might be them. Internal affairs. FBI. Or worse. The people you took money from who think you might talk first. The badge is in your drawer. Your father's badge. The one he pinned on your chest. You haven't worn it in 4 days. It doesn't mean what it used to. Maybe it never did. Maybe honor first was always just words people say before they learn how things actually work. You're not special. You're not the first agent who traded integrity for rent money. You won't be the last. Right now, somewhere in another sector, a young agent is sitting across from someone like Novak, listening to an offer, doing the same math you did, wondering if the system that underpays them deserves the loyalty it demands. The answer comes easier than it should. And that's how it happens. Not with a bang. Just a quiet yes in an equipment shed. And suddenly, you're something you swore you'd never become.